First thing I want to say, I'm a developer. I am no Blender expert whatsoever. I have zero artistic skill. And on top of that, I'm way too broke to use any add-ons or third-party software that would make any part of this process any easier at all whatsoever. But like Bob Ross once said,
anybody can paint. All you need is a dream in your heart, a little practice.
Now, if your dream is to go from zero to a 3D model of a playable character with no facial animations that deforms mediocrity, you came to the right video. So here's what I learned. First, here we have how Blender starts, a cube. Now, how do you look around this cube, you may ask? Scroll wheel drag. Add a shift to that to move the camera around, and use the scroll wheel to zoom in and out. And if you want to gain focus on an object, you can go to View and Frame Selected. Then left clicks for selecting, and right click is for having options on whatever is selected. Now to actually do things to the block, just select it and G to move, left click to keep the movement, or escape to go back if you don't want to move it at all, you change your mind. S to size up or down, and R to rotate. You hear that, Unreal? Rotate on R instead of an E, the way it should be. Now, all of those three shortcuts are camera dependent, so I would recommend going up here and flattening the image. In any angle really, up or the front or the side or back. Now, if you want to be extra fancy, the other thing you can do, let's say for example, you want to move the cube only on the X and Y axis, all you have to do is press G and then Shift Set. So Shift Set means except set, so X and Y. And there it is. Fancy stuff, you're welcome. I feel like it comes more useful mostly on the sizing now. You can only size up on the X and the Y, for example. Now, why is this useful in a single block? It's useful because all the shortcuts apply into edit mode, which you go into by pressing tab or going up here and hitting edit mode. On edit mode, you can edit three things. By pressing 1, you edit the vertices, which are the corners of the cube. Pressing 2, you can edit the edges. And pressing 3, you can edit the faces. Now, like I said, all the shortcuts apply, right? So I can grab this face and rotate it, or size it, or move it around. And that applies the same with edges and vertices. Now that's not it. You can actually do a few more things. For example, on faces, if I press I, it adds faces to the inside of the face. Now, keeping that, I could also press E to extrude. Okay, let's say that's not enough. Let's say you want even more edges for some reason. I got you. We can look at this guy and press Ctrl R, adds edges. Now if I scroll wheel up or down, I add or delete edges. So let's say I want 3, left click, and then I can move it left or right, and then left click again to select it. And you go so many more faces. You can do whatever you want. Alright, but what if you want to make your own cut? I got you again. You go in here, press K on edit mode, and then you can go from whatever. You can go here to here, to here, to here, to here, to here, to here.
Take, and if takes, I take. If takes.
Just left click whatever you want. Enter, boom, more faces. Now let's say you want to select a lot of edges or faces at the same time. So I'll do it on face mode real quick, and you can do Alt left click. And it's gonna select a bunch here. But if I do Alt left click on this side, it goes on the Y. So depending on where you click when you do the Alt left click, it'll grab a different set of faces or edges or vertices. Now let's say I want to delete this face. Press delete, faces. Well, now what do I do with the whole? Question. I go into edge mode. I click this one, I shift click this one, and then I press F, new face. There you go, you're learning something, you're getting good. Okay, but what if I don't like the flat edge that I have? What if I want to have a better edge, with more polygons and stuff? They have a shortcut for that too. Ctrl B, you can select your edges. Ctrl B, boom, edge. Now that's all the shortcuts really that we have on edit mode, or at least that I know of. But that's actually not good enough to make a character. You're gonna need a few more cubes in order to get it done. You do that by going back to object mode with tab, pressing Shift A, mesh, cube, we did it. Now at this point I would recommend you to practice all that I've taught you. All of that is basically what people call hard surface modeling. There is obviously more to it than this, but play with it. This is the part that you should be enjoying, you should be getting good at, you should be getting really comfortable with these shortcuts because everything that you do after this still uses them. So go out and play with it, I'll be waiting right here. Okay, now you came back an expert on hard surface modeling. Let's get to modeling our dude. First of all, we need to find a reference. I picked this guy, but your guy doesn't have to be naked or bald. He can have hair and clothes, and the process will be exactly the same. Naked and bald is how I like them. We download, and then we drag it onto Blender. Now we can use our shortcuts for this guy too. It applies the same. I'm gonna put him right behind. Now this is a nice little trick. You can press N, and I can look at his rotations and eliminate them. 90, 180, boom, now he's flat. Now we just match him from this side. Now here's a new shortcut for you. With Shift D and then drag, you duplicate. And now with the rotation, we just rotate them on the Z to 90. And we put the side one, which is this one right here. And now because they're both the same size, I just duplicated it. I don't have to worry about the side view being taller or shorter and that sort of thing. Now that we have a reference, we can go to the blocking section. And blocking is way easier using the mirror modifier. Let me show you. So first things first, we grab our cube, we go to edit mode, we cut it in half, we go to face, edit faces, then we press Z to go into wireframe mode. We select all of these faces, press delete, faces, boom. Cut them in half. So why do we do that? Let me show you. We go right down here to modifiers, add modifiers, mirror, boom. The other half appeared. Why is that useful? Let's go back to edit mode, pick a vertices here. It happens on both sides. You see that? You see that? Alright, so to do this process with the arms and the legs, a little bit different. Let me show you. So we're gonna, I don't know, a cube. I don't know what a cube, oh, there it is. Okay, actually a cool trick that I didn't tell you about. If you size, move, or rotate, you can actually do all of those, not on the global coordinates, but on the local coordinates. So instead of doing the Z, if I press Z once, it's gonna be doing the global Z, but if I press it again, it does the local Z. Now once we're here, we go to add modifiers, mirror, and because we didn't cut it in half, it doesn't show up the same. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna mirror an object, which is gonna be the one in the middle, the torso. Boom! Too easy. So you can tell if I do anything here, it happens on the other side too. You got this, you do the rest. With all the blocking dot, it should look about like this. But if you notice, this is not high poly enough in comparison to a reference, obviously. So we're gonna do another modifier, which works pretty well. First, we're gonna do the ones in the middle. We'll go to modifiers, add a modifier, search, subdivision surface modifier. There it is, tiny little head. We're gonna add some more. And then we're gonna do this. That way, if I went to edit it, it goes around instead of doing whatever the hell this is. And this is where the trick comes in. I'm gonna shift click all the middle ones. Then shift click in the head last. And I'm gonna do Ctrl L, copy modifiers, boom, all applied. You're welcome. The reason why I do it in the middle ones is because the mirror actually works differently on the middle ones if you did it how I showed you. So then we're gonna have to do the exact same process again for the arms and the legs. Add modifier, subdivision surface, 2, boom. Shift click all these guys. Ctrl L, copy modifiers, bingo! Now that body is subdivided, we just need to go through each element, sculpting. So you're gonna pick an object, go to sculpt mode, and using the elastic snake hook, you're gonna go to each mesh and just pull them around to make them look like a reference. You know, flatten the animate, make it look like the reference. Beautiful. We also wanna cover all these gaps, so there is no spaces in between the objects. You're gonna go nice and slow. One cool tip here for this one specifically is pressing F to change the size of your brush. But that's all you need. Just pull, drag, make sure that you cover every single space where the actual mesh will be based on your reference. And it should look something like this when you're done. But you might realize that you have still no polygons. You reference way higher poly. This guy is total like 40 polygons, and you want a character that's like at least 5,000. You're gonna have to work on that. The first step to do that is apply all the modifiers. Like this. Go to the face, mirror, Control A, subdivision, Control A. And the thing with this one is that we cannot copy the apply modifiers. We have to actually go one by one applying all the modifiers. And don't forget, do the mirror first. If you apply the subdivision first, it's gonna give you issues. Just don't. Just listen to me. Just apply the mirror first, man. Come on, please. Now that all the modifiers are applied, we need to do one more thing before we can add the polygons. Control A, apply all transforms. Why is that, you may be asking? It's because of what we're gonna do. So grab the arm, go to sculpt mode, and when you're sculpting, you wanna mirror the sculpting, right? But there's nothing happening on the other arm. So what you do is you press Y. Now it happens to both. Now, if we didn't apply all the transforms, that wouldn't work. You're welcome. Alright, so to actually add the polygons, we need to press DIN Topo, which stands for Dynamic Topology. So we press that, okay. And the detail size, I like doing 8, but depending on your computer, you might have to go higher because of performance issues. And here in there, what we do is we press V, which is the shortcut for the draw brush. For the draw brush, if you press Shift F, you can increase or decrease the strength of your brush, and then you draw. Add some detail, you know, add a tricep, you know, like I don't have. And then you see it looks a little bulky, press Shift, and it's gonna go to a smooth mode. Gonna smooth it out, gonna look nice. And then another nice shortcut is Control. So depending on your brush, Control does the opposite of what the brush does. So on this one, which adds bumps, is gonna create creases like this. You know, here on the elbow, you want a bit of a crease. You know, you wanna show the bicep, which I also don't have. I know this is where most of my developer peers are gonna disappear, but I believe in you. I think you got this. I think you can do it. I love it. Just take your time, spend the 50 hours, 100 hours that you need doing this to get good at it. You're gonna feel so good after, I promise. I love it, eh? Okay, now that you're done, we should be here. And yeah, that seems like a big jump, but that's why you gotta spend 100 hours on it. We get to this guy, and it's pretty easy. We just press A, Ctrl J, that's it. Now all the meshes are joined. You have a single mesh now. All we want to do here now is get rid of these creases that are annoying. And if you go inside of it, you can see that the inside of the mesh is still there, even though we joined them. So this will also get rid of that. All we need to do is go to sculpt mode, remesh, grab the pipette here, 0.7. Again, you know, point something probably is gonna be good for you. Remesh. Now we got all these pixels going on. This is a second opportunity you have to sculpt the model, you know, go through the details again. So most of what we want to do is smooth around, make sure the mesh looking good on these connection areas. And again, follow your reference and make it look as close as possible. Just work these transitions and make this guy look like a Chad. Hell yeah. And now it really looks like you're done. Well, you're not, because holy cannoli, this guy is so high poly. And you're already using Unreal, so we need to optimize this guy as much as possible. How do we do that? You suffer. There's technically add-ons that make it easier, you know, and do it for you and do a pretty good job. But we're broke here, so we're gonna do it by hand. This is the part that really shows you how much I like making video games, man. I went through all of this. I went through Retopology. You better give me a like and a subscribe right now. You better Retopology. We need to retopologize the mesh. Now, to start the retopology, the first thing we need, just like with modeling, is a reference. Me personally, I like this webpage. It shows you a lot of reference for every body part, basically. And what I do is that I grab this one right here, and I follow the topology. That's what they call topology flow. Now that in mind, how do we actually do it? Easy. You do Shift A, Mesh, Plane, Edit Mode, bring it towards the face. Now on here, we're gonna do a mirror modifier. And then we're also gonna go up here and turn on the magnet, go to face. That way, when we move it, it goes towards the mesh. But as you can see, when I do that, it goes under the mesh. So we're gonna add a shrink wrap. Target, this guy. And we're gonna put it outside surface. A little more room. Bingo bango. Oh, don't forget to turn this on. There we go. Beautiful. One more thing that you might want to do is put some color in it, so the mesh and the retopology are different colors. You do that by going down here into material, new, go to viewport display, color, rep, we did it. Alright, so here's where it goes. You're just gonna go to this edge and extrude it. Boom, 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 boom. Just like that, boom, boom. Boom, boom. And because of clipping, it's just gonna clip immediately to itself. Now, this is not great topology. You know, you might wanna straighten them out a little bit. Mostly these guys are on an angle. That's probably not gonna fly later. I recommend at this point not thinking too much about how many faces is your right topology. Just go through the process and you get better at it. And the more you do and the better you get at it, the easier it is to lower the poly count. There you go. So that's our first layer. And then after that, you can get fancier, right? Whatever you do on this side happens to the other side. You get a few more here, and then you can bring it down towards the nose. Anyways, you get it. Follow the topology flow you reference, and then you should be fine. I wouldn't worry about it too much. So when you want to transition from an area with a lot of polygons to an area with very few polygons, like for example, the ankle and the upper calf, you're gonna need to transition from more polygons to less polygons in order to have a good flow. Now for that, we use this guy. So when you want to go, let's say from 6 to 4, 4 to 2, 3 to 5, you can lower the amount of polygons with a transition. Take a screenshot, write this down, man. Come on. Take notes. Now, if you need any more help with retopology, because it's definitely the hardest part of the whole process, I recommend this YouTube video. And then it looks like this. Wow, you're a genius. You did it. I'm so proud of you. 5,000 polygons now. This is easy. The only problem now is that body looks a lot worse than he used to. You cannot show this to anybody. What game has a guy with this many blocks in his body? Look at him. But don't worry, this is fixable with a little process called baking. So what we do is that we bake the cavity map and the normal map from the high poly mesh into this low poly retopologized mesh. Genius process. That basically means that light but without the polygons. Now, the thing that we need to be able to do that is to put seams onto the character as to put it flat on an image. To do that, we also need a reference. So this is the reference that I found, and then we just do the same. We go into your mesh, and we go from the armpit to the hip, probably that far. And then we do a right click, mark seam. Done, we have a seam. And then we go in around the hip with alt click, alt click, alt click, alt click, alt click, alt click. Do that, follow your reference. Now that the seams are all done, we can do what we want to do, which is UV unwrap the mesh. We do that by going to UV editing up here. Now you're gonna want to go to view, area, horizontal split. Right in the middle is fine, because we want to be able to see our shader editor. We have material here, which should be, if you go down to material, should be the same one that we're using on this mesh. You're gonna change the name to shader low poly. Now you're gonna copy paste that one to create shader high poly. This is because you're gonna need one for the high poly mesh and the low poly mesh. Now that we're here, we want to select our object, shade smooth. Now it's nice and shiny. Then you go to edit mode, A. Now you can see all of it down there. You're gonna press U, unwrap, minimum stretch. Boom. This is what you get. This is what you get. That way you can see that your UVs were separated properly. Now that that's done, we just need a new image. We go right click, add, texture, image texture, boom, new, normal. 512, that's the From Software quality standard. New image. Now this one we wanna have it on single image and non-color. When that's done, we go hit to normal. And actually what I like doing, I don't know why this happened, but I put it on generated just so I get an image. And then I save it as something and then normal. Save it whatever you can want to save it. And now it is a single image because it is an actual image. We need that to happen. Keep an eye on that. Very important. Now we go from color to normal map. Color. Normal. Boom. Make sure you did all that on the low poly shader, okay? You did it on the high poly shader. Just put it on the low one. And I won't tell anybody, I promise. Once all that is done, we want to get our high poly image visible. And we want to go up here to render. render engine to cycles, and then we scroll down to bake. Now on bake, we want to make sure that the bake type is normal. Ignore the influence and the output. We just care about the selected to active. And the extrusion, you're gonna have to play with this number. For this mesh 160 works good enough. But now you don't want it to low because you still want the depth of each area. You just don't want those two areas colliding with each other, like on the neck, for example. You got it. Try out numbers. I believe in you. Once you set on a number, go to LP, shift click HP, make sure the high poly one is the orange one. That means the selected one. And we bake it. And that took a second. Look at that. There you go. All done. We can hide the high poly one again, and to test it, we can go to render, this viewport. And if this was 0, that's how it looks at 0, and this is how it looks at 1. Doesn't that look better, huh? I told you. Now you'll see issues, for example, like I said right there on the neck. That is probably because of what I said. I needed a bit more extrusion. But I trust you can fix that. I'm gonna go to the next bake. Oh, actually it's not because of the bake, it's because this guy right here is too high up on the high poly. Boom. That should fix it. That's how you fix those. We bake it again. And it's gone. It is good to fix those because it's gonna blur you on the next bake. So this is what the normal map looks like. Now, you ideally don't want any of these orange areas or these yellow ones. And this is happening because of what I told you about extrusions. Seeing this, I might want to lower the extrusion because right here, this is the area of the fingers, which is usually an issue. And here is the crotch. Now, I'm not getting paid for this. And this looks fine for what I'm making. So I'm gonna keep it like that. If you know anybody that knows how to fix this type of issue, put it on the comments, help us all, help us all. I couldn't tell you exactly how to make it perfect, but I can get you this far. Now to bake the cavity map, we need to go to the high poly shader. And we're gonna add an input of geometry right here because we want the pointiness. And from that, we're gonna need a color ramp. There we go. And we're gonna add that to the base color. Alright, so now we need to look at this guy. And we're gonna bring into the middle this and this. That should make him darker in some areas. And that's what allows us to get the cavity map. Okay, you might be saying, hey, he looks the same. And I'm saying, yeah, actually he does look the same, what the hell? Oh yeah, it's because I didn't actually give him a mesh. There you go, high poly, boom, now he looks like how he's supposed to. So we bring down those two to the middle, you got it. Now once done, we go back to our LP. I'm just gonna shift D this so I can have a new image, new cavity, new image. Now this one's done color as well. We go to cavity, image, save as, cavity. Now it's a single image, same process, remember that, that's important. And that goes straight to the base color. Well, I'm not gonna say the joke. Anyway, so our character should be looking something like this. And what we're gonna do is go back to render, go to bake, but this time we're going to diffuse. Okay, but on this one, on influence, we only do color. That's the main difference on the bake. So we bake. And there we go. It should look exactly, that's what it looks right now. Yeah, looking good. Good looking. Now that one seems a little heavy. So let's do 0.5, gonna soften them up a little. There you go. Gonna make them look less bumpy. Now the difference between the high poly mesh and the low poly, not that much. This is low poly, this is the high poly. Low poly, high poly. I couldn't tell the difference. I feel like we did amazing. Oh guys, I realized this is an issue. Alright, 300 it is, but now it gives me issues there. I just realized that I have a cut right here on this guy. So I'm just gonna move it a bit. And I just moved this whole thing out so I can move this guy up a little. I think that's where the issue is. So just shift the drag like this. It did fix it. I'm a genius! Wait, don't forget, do the same with your normal map. because it's gonna mess that one up too. Now at this point technically is where you could be doing your texturing, you know, like you want to paint some color into this guy, which I'm not doing because my game black and white. You could technically go right here into texture paint and you can grab one of these, you know, and paint it up. You will do it like this. So if there's a cavity, you know, you just shift D it. And we delete this, new, we're gonna call it color, same size, yep, new image. And we're gonna have to multiply these two. Multiply. Boom, boom. That way you keep both the cavity map and whatever color you want to add to the character. So now we go down here, color. You're gonna save it. And then we go to texture paint, render. So now you can call it technically any color that you want. And if you do it like this, you can go actually by area, you know, so the face can be purple. And same thing F to make it smaller. I think you cannot see him, but there he is. You can go crazy. Again, that's way too artistic for me, and if you made it this far, you're probably a developer too. You don't want to bother with this. Leave this to a professional, you know? Because technically here you can use texture brushes in which you grab an image and you paint with it, and there's stencils, there is metallic and roughness maps. This texture part goes forever. So I'm gonna ignore it for now. Boop. Delete, base color. We're good. Alright, now to the fun part. We're rigging. This is technically easy. All you do is add armatures. So you hear armature, boom, you get a bone. We need to go to edit mode. Bring it up. Go to data. Viewport display in front. That way we can actually see the bone. Okay, you will go back to the front and we just extrude it out. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3. You've probably seen that the real mannequin uses this many bones. Now one for the neck and one for the head. Now to change the name, we gotta go here, bone, and this one is the pelvis. Same thing here. This is spine 1, and then spine 2. There you go. You get the convention. You've seen them before. Alright, now we need some clavicles. We're gonna do only one side here, so for the clavicle, then the upper arm, then the lower arm. There we go, and now we're gonna match them up a little better here so it doesn't look that bad. Then a little hand bone. There we go. Okay, now here's the tricky part. I'm gonna show you for the fingers. We need to extrude, select the whole thing, Alt P to clear the parent, and then we separate it. So we want 3 bones per finger. Alright, that's looking alright. So then what we do is that we just grab all this, Shift D, Shift D, Shift D. There we go. Let me fix them up. And there you go, now they're all inside. You see we did Alt P to clear the parent. Now we do boom, boom, Control P to make the parent, and we keep the offset. Same thing with the rest. Now, one thing that really matters on this side is the naming conventions. This guy right here is clavicle _L. Now that really matters a lot because we're gonna symmetrize it later, and it's gonna automatically do the right side. All right, here, and this is thumb 1L. Yeah, that is the naming convention. Thumb 2L, thumb 3L, and I just do the same for every finger. We need to make the left side of the legs, same thing. Extrude, Alt P. This is gonna be the femur. Control P, keep offset. Alright. Now all the way to the ankle. And we do right here one for the foot and one for the toe. And now again, name convention. Thigh L. Calf L, foot L, toe L. And now this is the magic trick. We're looking straight at this guy, we select this side, oh, shift click, right click, symmetrize, boom! This side is definitely not perfect already, you can tell. And test the select of this and this guy, we need to move it a bit to the side. About here, I would say. And it seems like it didn't parent it, so let's clear the parent. And then Control P, connected. There you go, that should be better. Now with the right leg, same thing, that bit to the side. Beautiful. I recommend checking the fingers too, but mine are looking pretty good. Okay, now I'm showing you this, but there's technically different armature hierarchies. And people use many different bones for many different things, in many different places. Like master bones, for example, to move like a collection of bones all together. But that's all gravy. This what I'm showing you here right now is where you start. Because right now that we have all this done, all we gotta do is select your mesh, select your armature, Ctrl P, with automatic weights, boom, and we should be all good. If you go to the armature and the body and you go to weight paint, and by pressing Alt, you go by each one of them, you'll see that it's already basically done for all of them. Now there might be some deformation that you want to fix, so let's see how to check that. Get out of here, into object mode, press the skeleton, go to pose mode, and if we move this, we can see how it deforms. Wait a minute, everything moving about how you would expect. That guy looks happy. That's perfect, right? I don't have an issue with this. Okay, but let's say we did have an issue. First we press A, right click, clear user transforms. That way you go back to the default. You press the bone, you press the mesh, you go to object, you go to weight paint. And then by pressing Alt click, you can check it out right here. At this point I also like actually going to the bones. I cannot do it on this side. Back to object mode, bones, this one, data. I like doing stick. That way I can actually see what I'm painting in weight mode. Alright, so this is very similar to the 3D modeling we're already doing. We have this brush right here, and we have the weight of it. We can press F to make our brush bigger, and with Shift F, we measure the strength. All the same thing. The closer it is to 1, the more it is red. And the more red it is, the more it deforms with the movement of the bone. So let's say if I really want to get the elbow to move with the upper arm, I can do some of this. I recommend pressing viewport shading right here. That way you can see where you're painting, because the painting happens on the polygons. Another area that you might want to have more control over is right here on the shoulder. But I'm gonna be honest, the weight painting part is where I found the least information to go from, except for furries. Furries love weight painting for some reason. And so you can have fun with this actually. You can go at it, you can check how you measure the forms on every single angle and try to fix it. But once you've had all your fun, we got to the next step, animating. Now, like with every other step, in animation you want a reference, you know, it can be anything you want. Or like I do, like I record videos of myself usually, because I can do exactly the movements that I want. I'll tell you this, finding reference on that exact move is hard. But once you have a goal, this is how we work with it. So you might not notice, but here in your layout, right down here, there is actually a timeline with a summary and everything. It's very similar to video editing in the sense that there is keying, so you can key movements towards the bones. The same way you can key movements towards my camera, for example. Alright, so we're gonna select the bones. I'm going to pose mode. I'm gonna grab the leg. I'm gonna press I, put a key there, and then on second 60, I'm gonna move the bone, press I, then I'm gonna play that from the top. We have an animation. You're officially a genius. Alright, but now that can be more complicated, because let's say at this point I wanna bend this guy here in the second 60. We're gonna have to go here, select that bone, key it, then all the way to 60, rotate it, and key it. Now what does that look like? We're professional animators, baby! It does actually get more layered than that. Let me show you. You can go into view, area, horizontal split, and we can add what it's called non-linear animation. So this right now, it's saving all of the things we've done. Alright, let's say one animation where we're just chilling, you know, we have this guy right here, and we wanna make him go left and right, let's say, you know, he's just kinda hanging out. So we would actually have to move the root bone a bit to one side. Actually, first of all, let's key that. Then let's say on 60, he moves like a millimeter. And then we move these two about the same amount on the other side. Okay, and now those two, you eye them. And then we go back to where we were. by Control C that key point, Control V it. Let's see where we go. Hell yeah. Let's make this a little shorter. Right here on the left, 120. That way it loops quicker. And then we can save that one. Let's put it down and we call it chilling. And let's add something to that, like for example, breathing, you know, we go here, this bone, go to 60, R-bit. Alright, but now the arms are kind of weird now. So we'll go back here, tag the arms, alright. Let's go all the way to 60. Move both arms at the same time, back to kind of where they were. Alright, and the neck needs to move a bit too, eh? So back here, I 60, R forward, I, and then we select all of them right here on the side, boom. And breathing, actually you hold it for a bit, so let's go 80, 50. All right, what does that look like? Now that looks like breathing if I ever seen it, now doesn't it? Hell yeah. So we can bring that one down and call it breathing. Now you see, you have a character that moves left and right a bit, that breathes. Let's be honest, this is a lot farther than you thought I was gonna go, right? But well, that's only part of it. Now we need to do the last bit of it, which is bake. We select the whole thing with A, pose, animation, bake action. Okay. And now we have those two animations into a single animation. So bring them down, baked, chilling. We have an animation all done. So now we get to the last bit, which is exporting. We go to object mode, we press A, make sure that you're selecting everything here, you know, every bone, everything. Now that everything's selected, we click export, FBX, and we go to selected objects, armature, mesh, and others. We don't want animations because we're only exporting the mesh. And in geometry, you want to do face, and in armature, only deform bones. We're gonna call this Michael, of course, and we export. You're good. Now lastly for animation is the same thing, but we don't grab the mesh. We need to only select the baked one, you know, unclick these ones. We don't want to look at them. Even start this one, so nothing else there. So you can just deselect the mesh. Go to file, export, FBX, just armature, animations. The rest should be the same, only deform bones. And on the animation, we only want NLA strips. Michael animation. Export FBX, which should be good. Now to prove it to you, I'm gonna go to Unreal right now, and I'm gonna show you. And if I write here Michael FBX, yeah, just like that, import. Don't even check anything, we don't need to, that's how good of a job we did. We got the Michael animation VFX, we drag it. We don't have to change anything either. Hell yeah, look at him. Look at him. He's doing it. He's doing it in Engine, guys. Doing it in Engine. Tell me if it didn't work. Tell me if it didn't work. That was it. That's basically all I learned on the last year. I apologize for the fact that the video wasn't remarkably technical. I just show you the steps, step by step, how I know how to do it and what I understand. Because there is not much more out there, basically. Now to close the video, I want to thank all the subscribers that we have right now. By the time I uploaded the last video, I had 29 subscribers, and now we're like 72, so thumbs up guys, you've been loving the content, and I appreciate it, thank you. Now, like I said at the beginning, please, if you have any improvements on my process, tell me, I'm begging you. But if you don't, and you love the video, give me a like, subscribe. I know that 99% of people here are not subscribed, so I would deeply appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.